Hello everyone, and in this video, the build we are going for is a Pierce heavy bowgun as well as a Pierce elemental heavy bowgun as well. It can work for regular Pierce or elemental if you choose to do so with it. The only thing that I would swap out if you're doing regular Pierce is the critical element jewel that I have stashed away in this build. So the first gun that the first thing that I am going to talk about is the heavy bowgun itself. It's the Royal Order's Bowgun Plus. This is the maxed out Royal Order heavy bowgun. The reason I went for this is because it can do really good with regular pierce as well as I believe it has all of the elemental pierces. It has fire, water, thunder, ice, and dragon. Yeah, that's all of them. And it does all the ammos of Pierce, it does all the ammos of normal, all the ammos of shrapnel. Of course, this is a Pierce build, so the others don't matter too much, but with two of the pieces in this set, you could do a shrapnel build if you really wanted to, but I wouldn't recommend it. If you want to do a shrapnel spread build, I recommend the other heavy bowgun rise build that I have posted. That's a little bit better for it. So first off, we're going to be using the Rhinophilus Helm X. This is because it gives us 2 points into Pierce Up, which increases the damage of piercing ammo. I believe this also works for the elemental piercing shots. I'm not 100% on that, but I would assume so because it's still pierce ammo. This also gives us stun resistance, and I think it gives us stun resistance and muck resistance. Muck resistance doesn't matter too much unless we're fighting Almudron or Jyuratodus. And the stun resistance is nice, even though it's not huge. It's more of like an extra boon to have. Next, we're going for the Rachna Kadaki Male X. This gives us spread up, reload speed 2, and spare shot. We mostly want this for the reload speed and the spare shot. Reload speed just makes it so we reload faster, and spare shot just makes it so when we do fire our shots, there's a chance for it to not consume the bullet. The spread up is just kind of there as a result of using the Rachna Kadaki Male. Next we have the Jaggy Gauntlets X. This gives us 3 points into attack boost, which just flat out increases our damage per shot, as well as recoil down. Okay, never mind. It just gives us the attack boost plus 3. The recoil down and defense boost are from the decorations I have slotted. Next is the Rachna Kadaki Coil X. This is the waist. This gives us spread up, spare shot, and tune up. So we get spare shot almost maxed out, so our chances to save ammo is increased, and tune up just increases the I don't actually remember what it fully does at level 1. It increases the silencer and shield, so this doesn't really matter because we don't have 2 points, because this is using the power barrel, as you can see down in the bottom right corner. So that kind of goes to waste, sadly, but if you have the opportunity to slot in another tune-up jewel, please feel free to do so. It would just make the power barrel better. And lastly, we have the Ingot Greaves X. This gives us 2 points into attack boost and 2 points into critical eye. This and the Jaggy Gauntlets you get pretty early on into Sunbreak, so I would recommend making them as soon as you can. They're pretty good and very versatile for a lot of builds just because of the skills that they give. And then for the Petalace, as always, I go for the Underworld Petalace because it increases your health and stamina, attack a little bit, and defense greatly. I like the defensive stats for my Petalace. I feel like you get enough offensive capabilities out of the decorations and the equipment. And then for the talisman, I have a Polar Night talisman that gives me +3 into reload, or Wirebug Whisper, excuse me, and +1 in redirection. And now for the decorations. For the Royal Order's Bowgun, I have a critical boost jewel slotted in. Our crit chance is 30%, I believe, with this setup, but with piercing shots, you have to remember that each tick of damage that the shot does has a chance to crit. If you can get this higher, that would be great, but I think 30% is fine enough for a critical boost jewel. For the Rampage slot, I have the Camellia Soul jewel. You could slot in Anti-Wyvern or something more specific, but I like the Camellia Soul because each pierce of each tick of damage from the piercing shots has a chance to proc Camellia Soul, so you have a high chance of just getting a lot of Camellia Soul procs throughout the hunt. In the Rhinophilus Helm X, I have a Tenderizer Jewel. This just makes it so when we hit weak spots on a monster, like the face or the wings or the tail, we have increased affinity. I don't remember how much this increases affinity by. I think it's like 10% at level 1, right? Whoops. I think it's 10%. I don't know where it is, but I'm pretty sure it's 10% at level 1. Next, at the Rakna Male X, we have a Critical Element Jewel. This is specifically if you want to do the piercing elemental shots. If you don't want to do the piercing elemental shots, you could put something else in here. Maybe a Pierce Jewel, if you have it, to max out your piercing shots. And then next in the level 1 decoration slot, I just have absorbers so I don't have to deal with recoil as much. And then again, I have another absorber jewel just so recoil isn't as much of a thing. And then I have a defense jewel. This is mostly because as a ranged attack build, you have lower defensive stats, so I just like having some extra points in defense to survive some hits. In the Ragna Kadaki Male X, or Coil X, excuse me, the waist, I have 2 expert jewels. This is just to increase our affinity. We only get it to 40%, or to level 4 at plus 20%, which isn't too high, but it's fine for what it is. And then lastly, in the Ingot Greaves X, I have 2 points into defense just because I, again, like to have a little bit of defensive stats in my, at least heavy bowgun builds, because heavy bowgun is relatively slow and not very maneuverable unless you spam the wire bug move where you like slide on the ground with the heavy bowgun. So these are all the skills on the right side of the screen. These are all of them that we have equipped with this setup. We have 5 points into attack, 4 points into critical eye, maxed out reload speed, maxed out recoil down, plus 3 into defense boost, max out wirebug whisper, plus 2 into spare shot, plus 2 into pierce up, plus 2 into spread up, plus 1 into critical boost, plus 1 into weakness exploit, plus 1 into critical element. Again, if you're just going to do a regular pierce build, please swap this out for a pierce up jewel to max out piercing shots. Then we also have plus 1 to stun resistance, plus 1 to muck resistance, plus 1 to redirection, plus 1 to tune up. If you have the defensive jewels are obviously a personal preference. If you have something else that you'd like to swap them out for, please feel free to do so. If you're going to do the critical element build, I would recommend slotting in elemental attack jewels for whichever elemental piercing shot you're going to be using, just to increase your damage just a little bit more. Well, I hope this build suits you all well. I hope you have great success with it in your hunts. I hope you have a wonderful day, evening, or night, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.